for joining us. We'll get started in just a moment.
All right, as everyone's coming in, I am seeing you as you arrive and moving you to the room so you can participate. If I have missed you and you are on the committee, please raise your hand and I will fix that.
I'm in the equity committee. Are you supposed to move me to another room?
No, you're in the right place.
Okay. Yeah.
And we'll get started in just a couple moments. We're just waiting for a few additional arrivals, and then we'll kick off the meeting. Thank you all for joining us so much this evening. And Jake, just go ahead and tell me when you think we're ready to go ahead and kick off, and then we will do so.
Yeah, why don't we wait another minute or two? People are coming in very rapidly, trying to keep up.
And for those who are just joining, we'll get started in just a couple of moments. We're just waiting for a few arrivals. Thank you for joining us this evening. We'll get started in just a moment.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. 5:30 on a Monday, and it's cold. We're going to be together for the next 2 hours and really for like a long time. So that you're here, that we're committed, that we're going to do some good work together is really wonderful. And thank you, thank you, thank you. And I look forward to getting to know you all. Please make sure you have your snacks. It's 5:30. It's time to eat. Your children may show up. I'm trying to keep mine from doing so, but they might. And you also may need to stand up. You've probably been sitting all day. So you may need to move around a little bit. We understand. Please, whatever you need to do to make yourself as comfortable as possible, please do.
All right, go get my snack if you guys don't mind. Thank you.
Yeah. Come on now.
Do what you got to do.
Yeah,
I'm going to get mine too.
go for it.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Roberta.
Yes. I just finished teaching. I'm like, oh gosh.
And for those who have just joined, we'll get started in just a couple of moments. And as our facilitator, Roberta Hunte, has shared with us, get your snacks if you need some snacks here. So.
And for those who are arriving, if you are not if you're not a member of the committee, then of the EAG, then we are leaving you as attendees who can just observe. But if you are a member of the group and maybe your name does not reflect that on Zoom, please raise your hand in there and I will make that correction. Johnell, I think we might as well get rolling here.
Great, let's do it. Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on this very chilly Monday. And my understanding is, at least the last forecast that I saw, perhaps snow is on the way, and so we'll see. My name is Johnell Bell, and I am the Chief Equity Officer for the Interstate Bridge Replacement Program. And I am so thrilled to be with all of you as we kick off our Equity Advisory Group meeting. And so we will go through a number of things this evening as Roberta Hunte, and you'll get a chance to meet her more in depth later, indicated. Do what you need to do to take care of yourself. If you need to take a break or grab some snacks, we understand that it's the evening hour. So we're going to go ahead and kick off. So next slide, please. So for those of you in our audience who might be watching from home, as well as our EAG members, closed caption is available in English and in Spanish. English closed captions are available within Zoom and YouTube. Users can follow this link to view both English and Spanish captions in a separate browser window. So wanted to make sure that folks knew about that. Next slide.
Real quick, we have someone who called in, so I don't know who you are. You're 206-617-7626. I'm going to allow you to talk real quick and just tell us whether you are just part of the audience or a member of the group.
Great.
And it looks like you are on mute. If you can unmute yourself.
I'm a member of the audience.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks. Great. Next slide. So now I'm going to turn it over to Ray Outlaw, who will go through a couple of slides with all of you. Go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, thanks, Johnell. So for those of you participating, your screen should look a lot like this. Two real options. So closed captions, that button on the right, you can click that to turn your captions on or off. And as Johnell mentioned, the link on the previous slide, you can go to also have captions in a separate browser window in English or Spanish. The link to that is also on the program website. So if you didn't write that down quickly, you can just go to the meeting page of the website and click that link. And then to raise your hand, there's a button there. As you see, this works the same for both participants or panelists and attendees. Click that button to raise your hand. Jake is watching that pretty closely and we'll identify those and call you out at the appropriate time.
Next slide. Yep.
And then just participation today. As Johnell said, thanks for being here. You're either here by phone or computer, and Jake just kind of illustrated for all of us that you can do both of those things simultaneously, or that you can join either way. If you're not speaking, if you don't mind keeping your audio on mute with a group this size, we'll inevitably get some background noise that will affect our ability to hear. And then if you have any technical difficulties, you can call or text that number on screen. That's me, 253-241-0131. If all goes well. And as planned, this is the last you'll hear of me tonight. So thank you very much.
And just a reminder for those who are interested in participating in public comment, there will be an opportunity to provide a brief public input later in the meeting today. We'll note when that will occur. You may also submit input after the meeting. You can email comments to us at info@interstatebridge.org. And please just put EAG in the public comment bar there, the subject line. Or you can call 360-905-1560 and state that you're referring to an EAG public comment. Next slide, please. So once again, welcome. We're so thrilled to have you join us. Once again, my name is Johnell Bell, and I serve as the IBR, the Interstate Bridge Replacement Program Chief Equity Officer. We have a packed agenda tonight. First, we will kick off with welcome and introductions. You'll learn a little bit more about the IBR program overview. Greg Johnson, our program administrator, will have an opportunity of providing a presentation there. Then we'll have an opportunity of really rolling up our sleeves to really define norms for our work with one another over these next couple of years. Then we'll begin to kick off the work of the EAG, Equity Advisory Group, really starting to define equity for the IBR program. It's going to be so critically important that we define what equity means for the IBR program and how we pull from other examples in the region. As indicated, we'll then have an opportunity for public comment, and then we will wrap up. Next slide, please. There will be a number of individuals from the IBR team that the Equity Advisory Group will be working with, but this is sort of your core group. Greg Johnson is our program administrator. Dr. Roberta Hunte is our Equity Advisory Group facilitator. As I indicated, I'll be serving as the program's Chief Equity Officer, and then Jake Warr is the Equity Program Lead. So this will be your core group. You'll meet others along the way, but in terms of your core group, we wanted to make sure that you knew who we were. So with that, I am turning it over to our facilitator, Dr. Roberta Hunte.
Hi, everybody. So really glad to have you all here. So we're gonna go around the room. If you will share your name and something that excites you about participating in this group. So my name is Dr. Roberta Hunte. Roberta, I use she and her third-person pronouns, and I am an educator. I teach at Portland State in Child, Youth, and Family Studies, and do equity consulting as well. So what excites me about this group is any chance to work on issues related to equity it's a good day. And this is this is going to change our region. And so working with you all and thinking through what equity can look like in relation to this is it's a big deal. So I'm glad to be here. All right, so I'm gonna pass it to the next person. So what we'll do is when you go, you share and then you pass. And let's try to be quick about it so that we get through everyone. So how about Ana Munoz?
Hi, everyone. My name is Ana Munoz. My pronouns she, her, hers. I'm with Latino Network. I have been invited by Jake Warr to participate in this group. And what excites me is that if there's an equity advisory group, is because there's a void and we're filling that void. So for me, just like Roberta, Dr. Hunt just mentioned, anything that is related to equity, social justice. I'm there and fully supporting. So thank you and glad to be here. I'll pass it on to Jake since you invited me.
Thanks, Anna. So I'm Jake Warr. As Johnell mentioned, I'm the equity lead on the Interstate Bridge Replacement program. So happy to be here. You're going to be seeing and hearing me a lot. Well, hopefully not hearing me, but hearing from me. And I guess what excites me about this program is I am very passionate about transportation equity, and I think that this program has a lot of opportunity to provide a lot of benefit to our community. So I'm hoping that we can direct a lot of those benefits to the folks who really need the benefit, really need the help they can get, and just stand to have improvement in opportunities and access. So I will pass it to Lily.
Thank you, Jake. Hello, everyone. My name is Lily Copanego. I use she or they pronouns for inclusion. I was recently elected as an executive committee member at large for the Portland NAACP branch 1120. And in this role, I'm actively involved in branch issues involving economic opportunity, housing, and equity research. I am excited about this group for a number of reasons. One being that I grew up in Portland, very close to the Interstate Bridge. And throughout my life, I've seen this greater Portland, Vancouver area miss a lot of opportunities to improve our city for all of its residents. And I am excited to have an opportunity to be a part of not missing some opportunities. So that's part of why I'm excited to be here. And I will pass it to Shauna Carter.
Hi, thank you, Lily. My name is Shona Carter. I am the VP of Community Engagement and Strategy at the Community Foundation for Southwest Washington. My pronouns are she and her. And I'm excited to be invited to this committee. I am passionate about all things equity, have introduced it to our Community Foundation over the last 6 years to change the way that we make grants in Clark County and Cowlitz County as well. We are a community foundation that focuses on trying to impact intergenerational poverty. We focus on basic needs, housing, food, education, and then access to economic opportunities. I have a 20+ year career in philanthropy, and I'm grateful that we were invited so that Clark County has a voice in this process as well. And I will pass it off to Matt Saris.
Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Sears, and I'm a staff attorney at Disability Rights Oregon. I use he, his, him pronouns. And what excites me most about this project is that I think sometimes in the discussion of equity, persons with disabilities are not always included. And so I see this as a really good opportunity to bring some attention to persons with disabilities and how they can benefit from equity in the project, either through workforce equity, but also through accessibility. And when I do my work at DRO, Disability Rights Oregon, my focus is on employment, housing, and public accessibility. So I see a lot of intersections here. I'm really excited to work with you all. And I'll pass it on to Hai Tun.
Hi, everybody. My name is Hai Tun. I use the pronouns he, him. My job is a business analyst, and I'm very excited to join this program from a reference from one of my friends. And I'm really excited because it's like it's an opportunity for me to help improve the local community and be part of a big program and help Portland growth. Yeah. And then I think I'm gonna pass it on to Karen Kamarov.
Thank you. Halito Chimchukma Hoke, Sahoshfo Nata Karen Kamarov, Sahoshfo Nata Hotentona Sia Oklahoma Chata Ohoyo Yakoke. My name is Karen Kamarov. I'm an enrolled citizen of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma, and I live on Cowlitz traditional lands here in Clark County. I currently work for the Cowlitz tribe as the program coordinator for Pathways to Healing, which provides services for survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, trafficking, and elder abuse. And I also work as a child abuse specialist for Randall Children's Hospital in CARES Northwest. I am, my pronouns I, she, her, hers, and what excites me about participating in this group is that I am very passionate about equity in the community which I reside, and this provides a very large platform that is interstate with 2 different states. So I'm really excited about that and making sure that everybody's voices are heard on building such a large project. So thank you. And I will pass it on to Sabrina.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sabrina Owens-Wilson. I use she, her pronouns. My children are noisy in the background. I work at Metro on the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion team, and I'm the Regional Impact Program Manager. And I'm excited to be in this conversation and to shape with you all both what the concrete equity outcomes we're looking for in this project, as well as the strategies for how we'll get there, whether that is workforce or contractor equity, access, and environmental issues. So looking forward to working through all of that with you. And I will pass it to Steve.
Steve Nakana. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Stephen Nakana. I'm with the Port of Portland as the Social Equity Program Manager. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm here to represent the port and to listen. And what am I excited about is just the intersectional nature of the knowledge that is in this room. That is just making me so excited, and I believe I will learn a lot. Thank you. And I will pass it to Jonathan Eder.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Eder, and I'm the Director of Human Resources at the Port of Vancouver. And I'm excited to be part of this group and very interested in, quite honestly, learning more about equity and diversity in transportation. We have another interest in the bridge project itself. Is the Port of Vancouver is working on a project, our Terminal 1 development project, which is will be adjacent to the bridge project as well too. And so interested to learn from all of you in this group and to see if there's some things that we can do differently too at the port. And let's see, I will hand it off to Brent Hamlin.
My name is Brent Hamlin. I'm actually taking over the technical aspect of the live streams for the EAG and the CAG and the ESG. So I'll be working with all the groups here. My background is I'm an IT professional by day trade, but at the same time, I have worked with the Puyallup Tribe of Indians as a domestic violence legal victim advocate, and have also engaged with the DEI initiative within my parent organization and am an absolute advocate. You can call me whatever you'd like. I will respond to dude. It does not matter to me. So I appreciate that from everyone. And at the same time, I'm just here to help facilitate a conversation through technology, and I'm here to serve you. So if you're in the audience or you are part of the advisory group, I'm here to serve. And so I thank you for that. And I'd like to pass it to Fernando Martinez. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to join this committee. My name is Fernando Martinez. I'm the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Northwest Mountain Minority Supplier Development Council. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization focused on the growth and development of ethnic minority businesses. The excitement for me is in participating with this project is one, developing a strategy that not only helps our minority businesses grow through this project, but to help us set up the future generations of our community for growth in the future. So happy to be here. Thank you, and look forward to sharing with everyone. Thank you. Oh, and I will pass it on to Caitlin, Ref, City of Portland. Thank you.
Thank you, Fernando. Hi, everyone. I am Caitlin, Ref, City of Portland, Bureau of Transportation, and I work in our major projects and partnerships group, and super happy to be here. I am very excited about being part of the EAG and want to just say thank you to Johnell and team, and Roberta, it's wonderful to see you. When conversations about this project started back up and the City of Portland started getting engaged, hearing community voice and talking about how we were going to realize city policy and city direction that has come truthfully in more recent years. And certainly we have a lot of policy since the CRC that's centered around transportation justice and equity and climate justice, has been a conversation of how is this program going to shift and how are we going to ensure that we're hearing from community. And I'm just very thankful that the project team has heard that loud and clear, and we've continued to hear that they want to genuinely engage community and elevate voices and help collectively define how this project can have positive community outcomes and impact for especially those that have maybe suffered from disparities from our systems in the past. So thank you to the team. I look forward to working with all of you. I may also just say that I plan to heavily lean on my colleagues in transportation, as well as the city's Office of Equity and Human Rights, as makes sense. So I also hope to kind of be a resource back to City of Portland for this group, as makes sense. Thank you all. I will pass it to Tracy Steele.
Tracy's our captioner for the day.
Okay, Nicotres Perkins, sorry.
Good evening. My name is Nicotres Perkins. I'm the Assistant Director of Social Equity for the Oregon Department of Transportation. Really excited that this is launching. Excited about all of the things that are happening around IBR and equity, just because equity is my passion. And for all the reasons that many of you have said, to ensure that people who have been historically excluded are included. And excited that not only will this inform this project, but it will inform what ODOT does as an agency to work better and do better, as transportation has been problematic for a lot of populations throughout history. So excited to be here and listen and be a part so that we can do better. And I'm going to pass it to Matt Hines.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Matthew Hines, and my preferred pronouns are he and him. I am an instructor at the Washington State School for the Blind and have been for a couple of years. I grew up on both sides of this project, both in Oregon and in Washington. I myself am blind and have been since birth, and I have spent most of my adult life seeking equal access through equity projects for the blind, low vision, and deafblind community. So this is a really exciting project. I think it's really pertinent to the students that I work with at the school, as many of them choose to stay and live in the communities nearby the school and use this main way of transporting back and forth. So I'm definitely excited to be a part of the group to remove some of these artificial barriers that I've witnessed and encountered through my experiences through many of these types of projects, and also to also work to destigmatize some of the things that are perceived about blind, low vision, and deafblind individuals as they travel in their community. So I thank you all again. I don't have a way to see who's next on my list, but I'm sure someone can help me out and choose the next person. Thank you.
Maybe we'll go next to John Gardner.
All right, thanks, Johnell. This is John Gardner. I'm the Director of Transit Equity, Inclusion, and Community Affairs for TriMet. My pronouns are he and him. I'm excited about a lot of things about this project. First, I'm excited to be part of the conversation, but I'm really impressed and excited about the folks that Johnell and Jake and the team have brought together. I mean, so many times there's only a few of folks that focus on equity in any conversation. So that the majority of folks are connected or champions of it. I'm very pleased to be counted amongst you and look forward to learning more about folks. And of course, I'm excited about this project. This project represents a ton of opportunity for our community, specifically our communities of color. And I'm just excited to see what we can build together through this process. So I'm just thankful to be here. And let's see, I will pass to, how about Meg Johnson?
Thanks, John. Hi, my name is Meg Johnson. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am a waste reduction educator and a member of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion newly formed committee at Waste Connections of Washington here in Vancouver. My main focus and primary interest to be in this group is for accessibility for all income levels and communities who have been underserved by our transit system historically, and also mainly to give a voice to younger Southwest Washingtonians who want to see their region modernize and thrive in the upcoming decades, where it has not historically been something that they have had access to improving. Thank you so much for letting me be here. I think I will choose Rebecca Kennedy.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Rebecca Kennedy. I'm the planning manager for the city of Vancouver, Washington. And in that role, I oversee, in addition to land use and environmental planning, our whole transportation planning group. In that work, we are really working and trying to be more intentional about how we strategically target our investments to benefit communities that have been historically excluded from transportation and other public policy decision-making, to increase access to safe, reliable transportation opportunities, and therefore to jobs and housing and other services and amenities in the community. I'm really excited about this project. I think it represents an opportunity for people regionally to come together to solve a large, challenging, complex problem, and to show that we can do it in a way that benefits folks who have historically not benefited from public investments, and to really demonstrate that we can do that. I will say I am on this group for a little while. We are currently in the process of hiring a new director of equity and inclusion. And so that person will likely take over for me at some point once they get up on board. So I'll be here for a little while and I look forward to that time, but we may have a transition in staff when our new DEI director is on board at the city. So thank you so much. And thanks to Johnell and Jake and team for all the work to put this together. And I will pass it to, let's see, I think Mark Harrington has not gone yet.
Thank you, Rebecca. My name is Mark Harrington. I'm staff at the Southwest Washington Regional Transportation Council. Among many hats that I wear, one is with Title VI and civil rights. And so I'm most excited to be around many passionate people and to hear there's many voices from Southwest Washington included on this group. And with that, I will pass off to John Gardner.
John's gone, but how about Greg Johnson?
Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Greg Johnson. I'm the program administrator for the Interstate Bridge Replacement Program. And I'm so proud of the group of folks that we have assembled here to help make decisions and help ensure that equity is a center of focus for our team and for the decisions that are made. So this is a couple folks asked us, and it's good to see the folks that I help interview, but a couple folks asked us, is this just a box checking enterprise? Are we just doing this because someone told us to? And let me tell you, no one told us to. This is something that we conceived of, that we said, this will be a good idea to help make sure and hold us responsible for equity in our decision making and how we reach out to the public. So just a little bit about myself. I have probably lived here shorter than any of the folks on the Zoom call. I am a Michigan native. My house is in Michigan. I have an apartment here where I am now in Portland. And when I was selected for this position, I packed up my Impala, because when you're from Michigan, you drive a US made car. So I packed up my Impala and drove out here. And I am learning about the area every day. I take my bike and I ride in the community. I shop in different communities, both in Washington, which folks tell me I'm crazy for going and paying sales tax in Washington, but I do. I want to make sure that I am meeting people in the grocery stores and talking to them about this program. So I've rode my bike in the Albina neighborhood and around the bridge. I refuse, however, to ride my bike on the bridge because I think it's crazy because it's so narrow and bad, but that's an issue we're going to fix. But this group is tremendously important, and the decisions that are made at any level or any phase of this group we're sitting here tonight will be a part of looking at those decisions and making sure that equity is a part of it. So this is going to be a fun 2 years because there's going to be a lot of exciting things that are going to happen. We're not always going to agree. One of the things that we have also centered in this group and amongst the other groups, the community advisory group, the executive steering group, is that we are looking for collaboration and consensus to get to decisions. No one can pick up their marbles and go home. You have to sit and you have to make your viewpoint heard, and you have to listen to others' viewpoints so we can reach decisions. One of the things that I also tell folks, if you're here and you think we're going to talk about a third bridge or we're going to talk about not doing the interstate bridge, you're in the wrong meeting. The whether we're going to do this has been decided. What we are looking at is how we're going to do it. And one of the ways we're going to do it is with a focus on equity. So I'm tremendously excited. This is my 38th year in transportation. I've spent my life in the DOT world, and some of you may raise an eyebrow, but let me tell you, I've seen the DOTs at their best and at their worst. And what we're doing here is the DOT world at their best and bringing folks together with disparate viewpoints to help make decisions and help solve problems. So I am tremendously excited about this, and I am. You will learn more about me as meetings go on. I've lived in Detroit, a city that is, at the time I lived there, was 88% African American, and a city that at the time was not speaking to the DOT in any meaningful way. And so I came and I changed that situation. And now the relationship is still great between the city of Detroit and Michigan DOT. I lived in Baltimore, where I walked to work. And I moved there shortly after the Freddie Gray uprising. And I walked to work every day. I met citizens of Baltimore and the citizens of Maryland, where they lived, where they, and heard their concerns up close and personal. So this is my passion. I tell folks I'm passionate about 3 things outside of my family, and that's transportation, the Detroit Lions, and University of Michigan football. So if you badmouth any of those, we're going at it. So, but no, I want to welcome everybody and tell you, we want to hear everything that you think about this program. We're going to move quickly because we have a base of information that we're moving from, but we are not going to skip any steps. So if folks want to kick concerns and issues around more than we have given it time, and it's not the same issue that we've already made a decision on, I'm all about that, because we want to hear your concerns. So once again, I've taken way too much time, Johnell. You never should give me the mic, because I can talk.
No, it's
thank you and welcome.
It's very welcome, Greg. Appreciate that. Do we have anyone who has not already gone? I just want to make sure. Monica, right?
And Bobby and Adams, and I think, has Brent gone? No, yes, Brent has gone. Brent's our tech person. Okay, so yeah, Monica.
Hi, Monica. Can you hear me? I think I turned it off on time. Monica Tejas Fowler. I am with CTRAN. Greg's got me beat in the transportation field. I've been in public transit for about 14 years now. I'm here from Texas originally, but I've been here about 2 years now. So kind of got my arms around the area. What excites me about the project is it's transportation, and we have a lot of people who go back and forth over that bridge, obviously. And we're, as CTRAN, part of that discussion all the time. And so we're excited to be a part of that, but more importantly, we're excited to put equity at the forefront of those conversations. That's something that we do internally regularly, and that's something that is important to us as an agency. And so I'm excited to be a part of this group. Thanks.
We also have Bobby.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bobby Forch. I use he, his, and him pronouns. I'm the owner of Bobby Forch Consulting, LLC, but I primarily serve as the DBE Compliance and Inclusion Administrator for WashDOT's mega programs, which includes the Alaska Way Viaduct Tunnel Program. I'm excited about the opportunity for equity and inclusion. It's something that I have a passion for. Work primarily on very large transportation projects with a focus on creating equity and inclusion and growing our small minority contracting community. And the thing that really excites me, what comes with any large project, is there is a lot of opportunity. And I want to make sure that we leverage these opportunities to grow our communities and not only bring on new businesses, but to help some of our medium and small sized businesses be able to scale and grow and sustain themselves above and beyond just this particular project.
Thank you. And Adams.
Hello, everyone. I am Tanya Adams, and it's snowing here in Illinois already. So I'm going to shovel when this is over. I'm going to keep shoveling till tomorrow sometime. But I work for WSP, and I'm our Community Relations and Diversity Manager. And like Greg, I started out at the DOT for about 18 years and been with WSP for 15 years. And what I'm passionate about is the fact that both places have allowed me to help create opportunities for young people, to show them what this field is all about and the chances and opportunities they can have, and the education and the experience they can adventure on these projects. And also helping small minority firms grow, gain capacity, so they can help hire some of these young people in the community. So that's what I'm here, and that's what drives me every day.
Fabulous. Thank you. Thank you.
And Roberta, I actually just noticed that I was leaving one of our members in as not a full participant. So Lee, I just made you an actual participant if you were there. And I apologize.
Yeah, no worries. I was wondering what was up with the controls, but thank you, Jake. Hi, everyone. My name is Lee Helfand. I use they, them pronouns. I'm really excited to join this initiative and this project and work with you all. I was born in the area. I grew up going back and forth across the region. I have lots of family all over town, and I also have a background representing many different groups from labor to queer and trans folks, BIPOC communities, environmental justice organizations, youth organizations, transit dependent folks. So I'm definitely just excited to be here and work with you all. And thanks for having me on.
Great, thank you. Thank you, everybody. I think that is all of us. And so I'm gonna pass it now to Greg. Please give us an overview.
All right. Well, you've heard some of the information regarding the Interstate Bridge. So if we can go to a full screen. All right, thank you. So next slide, please. So this is what pavement or infrastructure looks like after a significant earthquake has hit an area and damaged it. So one of the things that is driving the concern over this bridge is its inability to withstand a large earthquake. And for those who know the area, they've heard the term the Cascadia subduction. There's some tectonic plates off the coast of Oregon and Washington that when it moves, it will likely trigger a very large earthquake. And when that earthquake hits, the interstate bridge carrying I-5 over the Columbia River will be damaged, possibly beyond repair. We know that this type of earthquake has hit this region probably every 300 years, I think is the number, but it has not hit in over 300 years. So we're looking and working quickly so we can put a bridge in that's modern and resilient to the impacts of the earth moving in an earthquake situation. So another reason is the bridge is old. We have one bridge that is, there are actually two separate bridges that carry I-5 over the Columbia River. One of the bridges was built in 1917. And so doing the math, we're coming up on its 104th birthday. Bridges are resilient, but they do not generally last for this long. This bridge has been very well taken care of, but it is outdated. If you look on this picture, the shoulders are narrow. The lanes are not what they should be. The second bridge that carries southbound traffic is actually 62 years old. So while it is also in the senior citizen category, it's a little bit younger. But once again, the technology 62 years ago is well beyond what you would expect for a growing modern area like Vancouver, Portland. And so we are looking at how are we going to solve some of these problems. Next slide. So what you see here is a C-Tran bus. It's a express bus taking folks from Vancouver to downtown Portland. And this bus runs once an hour. It is not what is called high capacity transit. This is a way to move people in a reasonable way, but is it the best way to move folks going into the future? That's one of the issues we're going to be wrestling with is what type of high capacity transit should be carried across the river via this bridge. And what you can also see, if you go back for 1 second, you can see that this is a lift bridge. So those concrete members sitting high in the air, those are counterweights that help lift the bridge when a tall ship is passing through. And I-5 over the Columbia River is one of probably less than 10 movable bridges on the interstate system left in the United States. This used to be a popular way where you wouldn't have to build a tall bridge, but it is also the only stoplight between Mexico and Canada on I-5 exists on this bridge. Next slide. This is the reason I don't ride my bike across the I-5 bridge. This is a shot of the pedestrian and biking facility. And there's a lot of great bicyclists, and I've been a cyclist for a number of years, but this scares me because if you're trying to pass somebody side by side, and I'm kind of a wide guy, I might end up in the bottom of the Columbia River. So that's another issue that we're going to be looking at fixing and putting a safe, modern facility for walkers and cyclists or rollerbladers, anybody who wants to move across this bridge or across the river without using an automobile. We're going to help resolve that problem. Next slide. So I'm not going to go deeply into this slide because other folks are going to do a better description of it. But currently we are in a planning effort. So we're in that second blue colored or the first blue colored segment. Prior to this, there was over 10 years spent on the Columbia River crossing program. We garnered a ton of information. In the end, it failed. The Washington legislature voted against funding it. So this is the problems that were there have not been resolved. So we are now in the environmental and planning process. We have to get what is called a record of decision from the Federal Highway Administration and federal transit authorities before we can move on. So this is a 2 to 3 year process that we are working on now to gather information, have public input, and put together a set of solutions that we believe the federal government will accept and help provide funding to build this. So after that, we go into design, and then finally, we're looking at starting construction in 2025. But you see that common arrow along the bottom is community engagement. And engaging you folks is part of the community engagement program, but we're also reaching out in different ways to the community. And this committee is going to tell us, are we being equitable in how we are reaching out to folks? Are we reaching folks where they live? Are we involving everybody who has a voice or who wants to have a voice in this? So next slide.
Greg, real quick, I just want to point out that at the orientation on Saturday, we'll dive deeper into kind of where we are and how the work of this committee fits into this whole process.
Thanks, Jake. So we have a three-legged stool of advisory groups. And as you can see, the Equity Advisory Group is in the center. And the purpose, and I'm going to read it verbatim, provides insight and input on the program's processes, approaches, and decisions that may affect historically underserved and underrepresented communities. So this is what this group is built to do. And every decision that is made this group will have a chance to focus the lens of equity on it and make sure that equity is a part of the decision. The executive steering group is made up of our partner agencies, so both DOTs, both the City of Portland, the City of Vancouver, both TriMet and CTRAN, both ports, Port of Vancouver, Port of Portland, are all a part of the executive steering group. And the regional planning agencies as well, Metro, as well as RTC on the Washington side, are also a part of the steering group. This group is going to look and wrestle with the same type of decisions and driving decision-making for our team. The third is the community advisory group, and their purpose is to provide input and feedback reflective of the community's needs, issues, and concerns to influence program outcomes. So we want to make sure that what we decide on has the backing of the community, that the community has had a voice in it. And this is the way that we have decided that can bring focus to the community needs and visions for itself. So this is the three-legged stool of advisory groups. Once again, all three operate on consensus. There is no I'm picking up my marbles and leaving, because you represent more than yourself on this group. You represent your community, you represent your organization, and your voice is critical to be heard. Nobody is going to be 100% happy with every decision that is made by this group. There are already some definite differences in how folks see this bridge and the surrounding infrastructure that has to be improved. Some folks want a bridge as narrow as possible so it doesn't have an impact on the environment, or so it doesn't encourage more car driving. Other folks said, no, the problem is we want to get people from here to there quicker. We want as many lanes as you can build across there. So we have some very existential differences that we have to overcome. So these groups are going to help us wrestle through that. These groups bring their consensus decisions to the Interstate Bridge Replacement team, and that team will compare it against the purpose and need, and we're going to talk a little more about that, and vision and values that have been created for the program that we are going to be working on shortly. And then we have to take it also to the permitting agencies and make sure it meets their needs, like the Coast Guard, like the Army Corps of Engineers, like the EPA. We have to make sure that we are not running afoul of their guidelines and things that are necessary for us to get all the appropriate permits. And finally, we take that up to a bi-state legislative group that we ultimately have to convince this is the right thing to do. This is the consensus from the community. It's been viewed through the equity lens by the Equity Advisory Group, and the partners agree on it, and they will give their input, and hopefully we'll take each decision and put it in a lockbox and start working on the next decision. So it's going to be, I think, a robust process to get things done. Next slide.
And
So
here's me. Yeah.
with that, I turn it back to Johnell.
Thank you, Greg, and I'll turn it back over to Roberta.
Thanks. All right, so our meeting agreements are guiding norms for how we will engage with each other. So we're using the group agreements from Courageous Conversations About Race. So first, stay engaged. Remain morally, emotionally, intellectually, and socially involved in the dialogue. 2, experience discomfort. Acknowledge that discomfort is inevitable. Make commitment, especially in dialogues about race, making a commitment to bring issues into the open. It is not talking about these issues that creates divisiveness. 3, speak your truth. Be open about your thoughts and feelings and not just saying what you think others want to hear. And 4, expect and accept non-closure. Hang out in uncertainty and don't rush to quick solutions. So as we think about staying engaged, please take care of yourself. Please make sure you have the food you need. Please make sure that if you need to stand up, that you stand up and move around. We want you to, we want you, right? And experience discomfort. We are doing some real work, and the discomfort comes from taking in new information and figuring out how to work with it. So that's part of our work. Speak your truth, be open about your thoughts and feelings. Please say what you know to be true. Expect and accept non-closure. There's a lot of, our meetings won't end with a nice bow tying them up at the end. And in many ways, I think we'll often end with some real questions that need to be worked with as we move forward. And that is us doing our work. Next slide. I think for our ground rules, these are just some general ones that we want you to hold in mind. Let everyone participate by listening to and respecting diverse views and opinions. The diversity of our views and opinions is why we are all here. And so thank you for being here. Thank you for your contribution. Listen with an open mind. Be curious. Value learning from different input. Stay open to new ways of doing things. Treating each other constructively and respectfully. Respect the role of the facilitator to guide the group process. Attack the problem, not the person. And disagreement, frustrations, and difference of opinion are acknowledged, explored, and addressed. Okay. Is anything missing from these agreements? Is there anything that you feel we need to add before you can commit to them? And I can't see people. All right. So if this is something that you're good with, can you give me can we do a thumbs up? Do we have that ability? or a raised hand. All right, so I'm seeing agreement. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, and Matt, are you good with it?
It'd take me longer to get to the thumbs up, but yes, it's great.
Yes, that's what I thought. All right, awesome. Okay, thank you everyone. And I'm going to turn over to Jake.
Just one sec as I get back into this.
Right, and you're going to define equity for us.
I'm going to solve all of, I mean, I'm basically going to make the work of this committee just pointless because I'll solve everything with this. So hi, everybody. I know we're throwing a lot at you. There is going to be some actual participation on your part coming up very shortly. But first, I'm going to quickly set the stage. As a time check, we're not doing too terribly, so but I'll go quickly and we can get to the real meat of why we're here, what we're trying to accomplish today. So the first thing that we wanted to do was give just kind of a basic demographic overview of the program area we're talking about and the region we're in, the various areas. So one thing that I always like to start with when talking about the racial and ethnic diversity in our region is you hear that it's not racially and ethnically diverse. You hear that Portland is the whitest city in the US. And while statistically, sure, about 3/4 of the population here, a little less, does identify as white, that kind of ignores, that kind of further marginalizes people of color in the region who make up a very significant part of the region. And even aside from numbers, even though I'm going to go through numbers here, you know, numbers aren't people. The amount of people doesn't necessarily mean the significance of a population, but I digress. So you can see here the kind of different levels of the split between just if we put all communities of color into that BIPOC category, which if I'm guessing this group is pretty familiar, but BIPOC meaning Black, Indigenous, and people of color. And then how that actually breaks out, because of course, even though I just did it, lumping all people of color together is not really fair because of the diversity within populations of color. So I wanted to just point out in terms of how it splits up between if we just look at communities of color, kind of the specific races and ethnicities within that. You can see there's a large Hispanic, Latino, Latinx population, a percentage of the populations of color in Vancouver and Clark County. That's true that Hispanic Latinos are the largest population of color in all of these geographic areas, but it's particularly high there in Clark County. You see in our program area, meaning pretty much the immediate area where the bridge is, but then also north and south of the bridge on either side. So the Black population in the program area, about 28%. So that's larger than you see in the other geographies here, where City of Vancouver, it's 7, Clark County is 8, City of Portland 19, Multnomah County 18. And again, these are percentages of the communities of color in these areas. And then finally, I'll just point out here, the Asian population, which of course encompasses so many different ethnicities and cultures, but just because this is how we traditionally, how demographic data is shown, see that about, for the most part in the different geographies, it's about a fifth to a quarter of folks of color identify as Asian, and that's a little lower in the program area. I see that a couple participants, yeah, go ahead, Roberta.
Can you talk the slide, because not everyone can see the slide?
Yeah, yes, I will try to do that a little better here.
Okay, thank you.
Is there someone else who had their hand raised? Looks like I got it. All right, the next thing I'm showing here is a map of BIPOC communities in our region, of at least where we have higher concentrations of BIPOC communities. So you see there's a blue outline of our program area that it shows kind of, you can see in relation to that what the region looks like. But what this is showing is we have not only quite a few areas where the communities of color represent a large portion of the population, but you also see that it's throughout our region, but you also see that kind of donut in the middle there, which I think if you're from here or familiar, you know that there's been a lot of displacement from inner neighborhoods into outer areas. For in particular African-American population, but also broadly populations of color, because as housing prices have really gone up, and of course a lot of history of racist policies that we'll get into. This is kind of how that ends up shaking out today. And one thing that I'll go over at orientation Saturday is how this has changed over time, because it's quite striking to see that. So with low income, which here, pretty standard definition of low income that this region uses is at or below 200% the federal poverty level. So twice what the federal poverty level says it means low income. It makes it a more inclusive definition, because really the federal poverty level is not really a good measure. But what this is showing is pretty much in the city of Portland, Multnomah County, city of Vancouver, and our program area, about a third of households would qualify as low income. And in Clark County, it's a little less, it's 25%. So it's a significant portion of the population that is low income. And I'm pointing that using just in this case, just focusing on race, ethnicity, and then income, because those are going to obviously be a huge focus for this community or for this committee, as well as when we start talking about environmental justice during the planning phase. Those are the two focused areas of focus population-wise. And then similarly, here's a map showing concentrations of lower income households. Same definition, 200% federal poverty. And you don't see quite as much of a pattern as what we saw with communities of color. It's not quite as much of a donut shape in terms of where concentrations are. But if you focus really in Clark County there and Vancouver, you can see that compared to a lot of areas of the region, there is a higher concentration of lower income households. So we provide all that as context because demographic information is key to understanding our community, understanding how to engage the community. And it provides some context, I think, for this work. Further context is looking at what the region is doing, what the different entities, agencies, organizations, public and private are doing around equity, how they're defining it. So one thing I sent out just before the meeting started was a document that has a sample of how different organizations are defining equity and some of the kind of policy direction they have around equity, created a little word cloud here to see some of the key terms, you know, communities, outcomes, resources, opportunity, race, institutional. These things kind of pop up quite a bit as patterns, because these are the real issues that we're trying to address when we talk about addressing equity, or at least that's how it's kind of being thought of throughout the region. So these are just pulled from various partners here that are involved in the committee, between Washington DOT, City of Vancouver, Washington State University, Vancouver. You can see all those there. And you can see in more detail on the document I sent out. And that provides a little bit of context, but even with that, I kind of want to back up a little. And this is going to get, here's where things are we're going to experiment here, because we're going to break up into small groups. And because of our technological kind of limitations with Zoom, I emailed all the members of this a separate link just about maybe 20 minutes ago, maybe 30. The subject is EAG small group Zoom link. So the committee members and staff involved are going to go over to a different Zoom so that we can have breakout rooms and have small group discussions. Those who are not committee members are going to stay here in the webinar until we return, and there will be a report out. So if you have not received that email with the link to the other Zoom, let me know. And looks like got a couple hand raised. Okay. Anna and Steve, you did not receive it?
I'm trying to check my email, but I received the other stuff earlier and I don't see that email. Maybe it came through. Let me see. Okay, don't worry about it. Got
You
it.
got it?
Yep.
And Anna?
I clicked by accident. Let me double check again.
Okay. So you can, let's see. I am going to go over to that because I've got to start that meeting. And then the rest, if you were not sent a link, then you just hang out here. We'll be back at, well, we're targeting, we're a little behind. The slide's going to say 6:55, but it's going to be more like probably 7:15 or so. So we will be back. And please email me anybody who is having any issues with getting over to there. And Ray, are you good to take over just putting that PowerPoint slide up?
Yes, Jake, I will share it right now. Thank you.
Cool, thanks.
And Jake, if we're leaving and we're going to be back in 20 minutes, we can be back by 7:10.
Okay.
Great.
7:10.
Yeah.
Ray, will you make that change to the PowerPoint too? Ray, can you promote me so I can promote people?
You should be good, Jake.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are we ready to go, Jake?
Still adding people in, just 1 minute.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Great. So public facilitation. Jake, where do we want to go now?
Let me go back to this.
So I have notes from our talk.
I think if you want to share some from the report out
All right, great.
from our small group discussion.
Great, thank you. And so the notes that I have, so there were the first question we were asking is, what does equity mean to you? And then the second question was, what does it mean to center equity with this project? So the what does equity mean? A desire to know what actions do we need to see to know that we have centered equity, and how do we need to show up to bring the voice of the communities that we represent. That disruption is an important part of this. We need to be open to new things so we don't get the same outcome. Examining equity for this bridge project is looking at those who have been excluded before and having impact and incorporating their feedback and having impactful feedback. Inform the process that this is a multi-generational project and must have a robust disability focus and racial focus. That really focusing on who is missing and who has been missed in relation to transportation projects, in relation to this project. Trying to have everyone at the table no matter what. So really working to extend the reach of this project and to incorporate as many voices as we can. When we think about equity, we must think about the harm that inequity has caused, and this requires reparations. It's more than to do no harm. Equity lives in a historical context to address the harm that has been caused and to also set forth a new future. And equity is the effort to provide different levels of support based on an individual's or group's needs in order to achieve fairness and participation and outcomes. Equity actionably empowers communities most impacted by systemic oppression and requires the redistribution of resources, power, and opportunity to those communities from the state of Oregon language, from the congestion pricing conversation created last summer. And thinking about equity, it's part of the actual decision, being part of the actual decision-making process. Now, equity in relation to the Interstate Bridge project, that it's refreshing that talking about equity in relation to this bridge project and talking about it at this time is refreshing. That this feels tangible. That centering equity at every step of the way, never glossing over or ignoring equity in relation to this project. It's difficult for a project to have equity as an outcome without focusing on justice. Thinking about how will this project contract with everyone? How will it be fair and equitable? And how can we influence the project from the ground, from the envisioning to the performance and implementation? The resources, that we need resources behind ensuring people stay at the table and are engaged. We need more resources towards those who do not usually get to sit at the table. Equity in relation to this project needs to support everyone who wants to cross the river, however they do it. Bicycle, pedestrian, transit, car. Need to remember that everyone needs this bridge, so everyone must be considered. In this project, centering equity as the process and the outcome. And this requires both disruption and decolonization as a part of this. We need the same level of rigor to the analysis around how we are going to do this work and how different communities are impacted by this project. Similar to the way we do rigorous analysis around environmental issues, equity process and analysis needs the same rigor. Equity is the effort to provide different levels of support based on I've already read that part. And in this work, implementing practices, procedures, and policies to remove disparities and ensure resources and benefits are distributed based upon availability. All right, so those are the notes that I have. We really kind of stayed with the first question.
Great. So it's back over to me for public comment. Thank you, first of all, EAG members for kind of going with the flow as we kind of make sure we get the right technology. And so this is a bit of a dry rehearsal for us. And as we get better at this, we'll have a much more seamless transition. Next slide there. So now is the time for members of the public to have an opportunity of providing public comment. If you have joined by Zoom, click the raised hand feature to indicate that you would like to provide public comment. If you have joined by phone, please press *9 to raise your hand if you would like to have an opportunity of providing public comment. We will call on participants. You will receive an unmute request. Please accept it. If you could just remember to please provide your name and affiliation. And based upon how many folks we have, we will offer public comment. But generally, we tend to try to stick to 1 minute. So please be brilliant and brief. So with that, do we have anyone who have signed up for public comment?
Not seeing any yet.
Okay, we'll wait just a couple of moments.
One hand.
We do have one. So John Lay, I will unmute you now.
Great. Hi, John, you are now unmuted. Can you hear me okay?
Excellent. I hope you can hear me as well.
Great. I am going to start your 1 minute now.
Thank you, Johnell. Thank you, members of the committee. I am wondering, as a citizen and taxpayer, what power this organization will have in terms of actually delivering equity. Equity means a lot of things to a lot of people. The citizens in North Portland, generally speaking, do not want a huge freeway going through their neighborhood. If this committee decides in the name of equity that there should not be a huge freeway, will you be able to deliver and limit the size of the freeway going through North Portland because it would be equitable to the citizens of North Portland? Or how about the equity for small business? There were a lot of small business owners in downtown Vancouver that felt they were being discriminated against in the last effort. Would this organization have the ability to deliver an equitable solution that allows for not destroying small businesses in downtown Vancouver?
And John, your time is up. Thank you so much for your comment. Do we have others who've signed up for public comment? Hearing or seeing none. Just doing a double check. Ray, Jake, any additional public commenters? No.
Nope.
Okay, great. Next slide, please. Just a reminder, if folks would like to make a comment in writing, you can fill out a comment form on the program website or email comments to info@interstatebridge.org. Please remember to put EAG public comment in the subject line. All comments received after the meeting will be distributed to the EAG members prior to their next meeting. You may also call 360-859-0494, 360-859-0494 on the Washington side, or on the Oregon side, 503-897-9218, 503-897-9218, or the toll-free 800 number at 1-888-503-6735, 1-888-503-6735, and state EAG in the public comment of your message. So many avenues to offer public comment. Certainly the committee would love to receive those as it deliberates its work. Next slide.
And as a reminder, what I sent to you with the materials just before the meeting included public comments that we've received so far.
With that, Dr. Hunte, I am turning it back over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So to wrap up, we are going to, how about just we can do popcorn style. 3 takeaways from our conversation today. Anyone can share, if we could just get 3 takeaways. Not everybody giving me 1 takeaway, but just let's get 3 takeaways. What have we done together?
This is Matt. I think that we have all come together to essentially identify the collective knowledge that we all have and hope to bring into these important discussions and how we can best move forward as a group to tackle these important issues.
Thank you. Another takeaway.
I think that I'm taking away from today is that we have many perspectives represented in this group. However, there are some that I feel still need to be represented. I think of the homeless population who uses transportation to move through space. I hope that we can really kind of zoom in, with a laser focus to make sure that we are really including everyone at the table.
I think for me, this is like the first meeting, and I think that there's so many perspectives and so much work that everybody wants to bring to the table. But I also think that I feel like everybody on this call is really committed to this. So that's my takeaway, is that being part of this committee is going to be very, very beneficial, not only to the community as we go through this planning and phase, but into the future. So I feel very confident about this group. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. All right, so we have time for 2 more comments quickly. Yes.
I have a comment.
Yes. Yes, Anna, and then Meg.
I was just wondering if we're going to have public comment as part of this session. Are we going to have an opportunity to open a conversation about it if needed, or are we just going to listen to public comment?
Yeah, you'll receive public comment. If there are inquiries with specific questions, the program staff will work to respond to those questions. But the purpose at these meetings is to receive the public comment, not to engage in a dialogue with the members of the public, but to receive it and for you to consider that as you deliberate some of the challenges and opportunities that will come before this committee.
Meg?
Hi, this is Meg. I wanted to add the piece that I found most interesting takeaway-wise for today was acknowledging, yes, we have to have everyone at the table, but we also have to think about not only the outcome of the bridge itself, but making sure that equity is the focus of every piece of construction of this bridge, making sure that we have the right people at the table when we're thinking about actually putting the bridge together as well. I think we need to focus on that as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Shauna?
I'm sorry, I have one more, something that struck me when we were discussing public comment. And, given that this is specifically a lot of BIPOC community voices sitting in this equity committee, and given that, there are folks who can come and view these conversations, and they could be contentious and heated, and given the environment of the country currently, I just am concerned a little bit about folks' safety in this process, and just wanted to put that out there on how we can make, our committee, as safe as possible in this process. Just something that came across my mind.
That's an excellent comment and one that we do not take lightly. It's something that we'll monitor. It's our job as a program staff and administrators to make sure that all of our committee members are safe. We, as a program, we don't tolerate any sort of harassment of any kind. And so what I would say to any members of the committee, if at any given time you feel as if there's been a breach of safety or trust, please be in contact with us. Certainly, we will cut off anyone who is exhibiting language that is offensive or violent. And it's our expectation that you are able to serve in these capacities and tapping into all of your rich knowledge in a fashion that moves this project forward. As you indicated, certainly this is a very engaged public we have, and our national politics have certainly probably bled over in a variety of ways, but it is not our expectation that you should be in the midst of anything that could harm you. And so With that, maybe I don't know if Greg Johnson is still here. I would yield to him for additional commentary. But that's our general line there. So thank you for raising that, and we'll continue to monitor as well.
Johnell, you answered that concern very well. This is not a place for intimidation or threats of any sort. So if we do see it, we will react to it very quickly and make sure that that does not carry on through our meetings and through our deliberations. I expect folks to passionately put their view on the table, but the key is, and I think it showed up in Dr. Hunt's presentation, is that we must be respectful of each other, and we expect that same courtesy from anybody who may choose to call in and make public comment. So once again, if you see it and it goes by us, let us know.
Thank you. All right, so we have our joint EAG Community Advisory Group, Equity Advisory Group, Community Advisory Group orientation on Saturday from 10 to 3. Bring your snacks. Our next Equity Advisory Group meeting, number 2, the date and time are to be determined. And thank you and good night.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Everybody.
Good night. Thanks.
Night.
Good work. Good work. Good beginning.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
And thank you, Ray and Brent. I don't know if Brent's here anymore.